What if I told you that right now, as you are watching this video, millions of people around you are fighting a battle that nobody can see? Not a battle with a visible wound, not a battle that leaves a scar on the skin, but a battle happening deep inside the mind. A battle so quiet, so invisible, that most people do not even realize they are in the middle of it. And here is the scariest part. Maybe you are one of them. Maybe someone you love is one of them. And the world keeps moving like nothing is wrong. Today, we are going to talk about something that affects almost every single person on this planet: mental illness. And before you think, oh, this is not for me, I want you to stay right here. Because by the end of this video, I promise you will see this topic in a completely different way. You might even feel like this video was made specifically for you. Let us start with the most basic question: what even is mental illness? Mental illness is not just feeling sad. It is not just being stressed. It is a real medical condition. Just like your heart can get sick, just like your lungs can get infected, your brain, the most powerful and complex organ in your entire body, can get sick too. Mental illness changes the way a person thinks, feels, and behaves. It affects how you handle stress, how you connect with people, and how you make decisions every single day. The list of mental illnesses is long: depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, obsessive-compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, eating disorders. These are just some of them. And every single one of these conditions is real. Every single one of them is serious, and every single one of them deserves the same attention and care that we give to any physical disease. But here is the thing that breaks my heart. Most people who are struggling with mental illness never reach out for help. They suffer in silence. They smile on the outside while they are completely breaking apart on the inside. And the reason? Judgment, the fear of being called weak, the fear of not being believed, and a world that still does not fully understand what mental illness really is. Think about how we treat someone with a broken leg. We rush them to the hospital. We ask how they are doing. We bring them food. We check on them. We understand completely that they are in pain and that they need help. Nobody tells someone with a broken leg, just walk it off. Nobody tells them they are being dramatic. Nobody tells them to think positive and magically heal themselves. But when it comes to mental illness, people say exactly those things. Just cheer up. Others have it worse. You are being too sensitive. Stop overthinking. These words, even when said with good intentions, do enormous damage. They tell a person that their pain is not real. They tell a person that what they are going through is their own fault. And they push that person further into silence and further away from the help they desperately need. Mental illness is not a choice. Nobody wakes up in the morning and decides to have depression. Nobody chooses to have anxiety attacks. Nobody picks panic disorder off a menu. These conditions develop because of a mix of genetics, brain chemistry, trauma, environment, and life experiences, things that are largely beyond a person's control. The brain is an organ, and just like any other organ in the body, it can be affected by illness. This is not weakness. This is biology. Now, I want to ask you something personal, and I want you to think about this honestly. Have you ever felt completely empty for no reason at all? Have you ever felt so anxious that your heart was racing and your hands were shaking, and you could not even explain why? Have you ever felt like you were carrying a weight so heavy that it was impossible to get out of bed in the morning? Have you ever smiled in front of people and then cried alone the moment you were by yourself? If you said yes to even one of those, keep watching. Because what comes next might be the most important thing you hear today. And if you have never personally felt these things, I promise you, someone you care about deeply has. And what you learn in the next few minutes could literally change their life. Let us talk about the numbers, because the data tells a story that is impossible to ignore. According to the World Health Organization, approximately 1 in 8 people in the world lives with a mental disorder. That means right now, close to 1 billion people on this planet are dealing with some form of mental illness. 1 billion. That is not a small problem hiding in a dark corner. That is a global crisis happening in plain sight. And yet, in many parts of the world, mental health is still not taken seriously. Resources are limited, access to professional help is expensive and difficult, and the stigma around talking about mental health still keeps far too many people from ever seeking the care they need. The same research also found that depression alone is one of the leading causes of disability worldwide. Not just feeling bad, but actual disability, meaning it actively prevents people from functioning, working, maintaining relationships, and living a normal life. This is not a personal weakness. This is a medical emergency happening on a massive scale. One of the biggest barriers to getting help is stigma. Stigma is that feeling of shame, embarrassment, or judgment that surrounds mental illness. And it is everywhere. It is in the way people talk about mental illness, like it is something to be embarrassed about. It is in the jokes people make. It is in the silence that fills the room when someone tries to open up about how they are really feeling. Stigma teaches people to hide their pain. It teaches them that admitting they are struggling makes them weak, broken, or dangerous. It creates a culture where it is more socially acceptable to suffer quietly than to ask for help out loud. And that culture is costing lives. When we stigmatize mental illness, we are not protecting anyone. We are isolating the people who need connection the most. We are silencing the voices that most need to be heard. We are creating walls where we should be building bridges. Breaking the stigma starts with conversation. It starts with education. It starts with videos exactly like this one. People deciding to talk about something that the world has told them to stay quiet about. Here is something that most people do not realize about mental illness. It is exhausting. Not just emotionally exhausting, physically exhausting. People living with depression often experience physical symptoms like fatigue, body aches, headaches, and changes in appetite and sleep. Anxiety can cause chest tightness, dizziness, stomach problems, and a constant feeling of dread that never fully goes away. Mental illness does not just live in the mind, it lives in the body too. And one of the hardest things about mental illness is that it makes you feel alone, even you are surrounded by people. You can be at a party full of people laughing and talking, and feel completely invisible, completely disconnected, like you are watching the world through a glass wall, and you cannot figure out how to get through to the other side. You can be loved by so many people and still feel completely unloved. You can have everything the world says you need to be happy and still feel completely empty. This disconnect between how things look from the outside and how they feel from the inside is one of the cruelest parts of mental illness. And it is one of the reasons why people say nothing. Because how do you explain something that does not make logical sense? How do you tell someone that you are drowning when from where they stand, the water looks perfectly calm? So what can we do? Because this is not a video that just wants to describe the problem. This is a video that wants to be part of the solution. First, we need to talk more. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way that makes people uncomfortable, but in an honest, open, human way. Normalizing conversations about mental health is one of the most powerful things a community can do. When talking about mental illness becomes as normal as taught a cold or a broken arm, more people will feel safe enough to say, I am not okay and I need help. Second, we need to listen better. When someone opens up about their mental health, the worst thing we can do is dismiss them, minimize what they are saying, or immediately jump in with advice. Sometimes the most healing thing in the world is simply to be heard, to have someone sit with you in your pain and not try to fix it immediately, just to say, I hear you, I believe you, I am here. That act alone can be the difference between someone feeling hopeless and someone feeling like they can take one more step. And third, we need to understand that recovery is real. Mental illness is not a life sentence. People get better. People heal. People go from complete darkness to living full, joyful, meaningful lives. Treatment works. Therapy works. Medication, when needed, works. Community and connection work. The path forward exists. It just looks different for every single person. I want to take a moment and speak directly to you. If you are someone who is struggling right now, if you recognized yourself somewhere in this video, I want you to know something important. There is nothing wrong with you as a person. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not too much or too little, or any of the things that the voice in your head might be telling you right now. You are a human being going through something incredibly hard, and you deserve help, just like anyone with any other illness deserves help. You do not have to explain yourself perfectly. You do not have to have all the words. You do not have to convince anyone that your pain is real. It is real. It has always been real, and you are worthy of care, support, and healing, not someday, not once things make more sense, right now exactly as you are. And if you are someone who does not personally struggle with mental illness, you love someone who does, thank you for being here. Your understanding, your patience, your willingness to learn is one of the greatest gifts you can give to the people in your life. You do not have to have all the answers. You just have to show up and keep showing up. Mental illness is not someone else's problem. It is not something that only happens to other people in other places. It is here. It is everywhere. It is in our homes, our schools, our workplaces, our families, and our friendships. And the only way we are going to make things better for ourselves, for each other, for future generations, is by talking about it openly, honestly, without shame. This video is part of that conversation, and if you made it all the way to the end, then you are part of it too. If this video made you think, if it made you feel something, if it reminded you of someone you care about, please hit the like button right now. Not for the algorithm, not just to support this channel, but as a small act of saying, this matters to me. Because it does matter. This conversation matters. Mental health matters. People matter. And in the comments below, I want to hear from you. What part of this video hit you the hardest? Is there someone in your life you are thinking about right now? Is there something you wish more people understood about mental illness? Write it down. Because every single comment creates more conversation, and more conversation creates more change. You never know who is going to read what you write down there and feel just a little bit less alone because of it. Share this video with someone who needs to see it today, because sometimes the most important thing we can do for another person is simply to let them know they are not alone in this. Thank you for watching. Take care of your mind and care of each other.